Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host Donnie, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Ducey.
Hello, everyone.
Ducey, how are you this fine afternoon?
I am excited and ready to finish off our miniseries. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited as well. We've been covering the Donkey Kong Country trilogy over the last few weeks, and we're culminating our journey here with the biggest adventure in the series so far with Donkey Kong 64.
Not only so far, but even bigger than the follow-ups after this.
Bigger than most games, even until I would say today, because there's going to be a lot we can talk about here.
Could it be Rare's biggest?
It definitely is their biggest, and they learned a lot from it.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Before we get to our banana bonanza, I guess we'll call it, what have you been playing lately, Ducey?
Well, I missed my goal that I was setting for myself in 2023, but that's fine. My finishing list was long enough already. So the first game I finished in 2024 was Zelda Link's Awakening Remaster.
It's a perfect way to kick off the year, I would say.
And yeah, it was nice. It was a nice it was over the holiday break, I believe, over the New Year's break, and it was nice to get it out of the way, and for the first time ever in my life, I'd beaten Link's Awakening in any form.
Yeah, that's how it was for me when I finished it, because I had Link's Awakening DX, and I'm certain I got stuck. Not pretty sure. I'm certain I got stuck because I also got that kind of late in the Game Boy Color's life cycle. Like I think got it used from Blockbuster.
Oh yeah.
So I naturally played it for a little bit and then just kind of tapered off into whatever else I was going on at the time. And then I didn't play it again until the remake had come out, and I'm glad I did because the remake is really excellent.
I found out that the remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, is based on the Game Boy Color version because of the colors that were added. You have that one dungeon issue that I talked about with the red and blue switch, and you also at one point can go and you go through this thing, I think they call it the color dungeon, and at the end you get to choose whether you want the red mail or the blue mail.
Well, I do remember, there was like a bonus dungeon in DX because
yeah,
that was how they wanted to flex the Game Boy Colors.
Yeah. And it got me thinking, like, I wonder if the original Game Boy version even had, I know they wouldn't have had a different colored thing because you can't see color, but like, do they have something on there that says, oh, now you have an attack bonus or now you have a defensive bonus based on your clothes?
I don't even know if that would have been in the game to begin with, to be honest. I'm not even sure if, like I said, it might have been a bonus thing, like it might have been the DX part in DX, right? I don't know if it was supposed to mean deluxe or what, but it might have been like something they added to add more value to the Game Boy Color version, because really it's the same game.
Yeah.
It's just colorized,
I think, did the color version, the DX version, also have that create a dungeon?
I don't remember if that one did. I want to say it didn't, because I think this was a bigger deal for the remake was when that had. I don't know if one of the DS ones did as well. If it wasn't Spirit Tracks, Phantom Hourglass. I thought they had, or Link Between Worlds. I thought one of them had some sort of dungeon builder. So I'd imagine it probably wasn't available in the original Game Boy one, or even DX. I would say
it probably would have been a lot to save too on a
cart.
On a DX cart. Yeah,
there's only somewhere so you can make. How many screens can you make? Like 7 or 8 screens at best.
Yeah,
right?
I can definitely see how you might have gotten stuck later on in the DX version, because like I said the last time, I got stuck in that one dungeon, and it did turn out that I was missing a key, and it was like something I wouldn't have even thought of that I missed. It was like you have to go back into this one room and let the the little floor tile things hit you all the way. You have to block them, and I could have sworn I did that, or maybe I ran all the way through, and it was just that one last little key. I was like, really? The rest of the game was easier than this one little thing that had me lost, until I got to the final dungeon when you go up into the egg, and it's basically like the Lost Forest, where if you don't go in a certain path, it's going to just keep repeating.
Yeah.
And I had no idea where you got the answer to the path. And it was way back in the library that you first go into.
Oh, yeah, because I actually took a screenshot of that.
Yeah.
It literally had directions, the direction arrows. I was like, well, this is going to be important later, so I took a screenshot with the Switch.
And I had totally forgotten about that, because I had probably played the first part of this game. Like, I know I restarted it, but when I restarted it, I don't think I searched the library too much. I was like, oh, this is just telling me the basics, which I already know. except for that one corner book that
Yeah,
had the
probably
answer.
the bottom left corner or something.
Yeah.
I find myself doing the same in Zelda games more specifically. There's probably other games I do it too, but games, if they're designed well, they kind of teach you a syntax for how the world works and how certain puzzles work. And there's always something in Zelda I forget where it's like, yeah, you should have the floor tiles try to miss them so they hit the wall and destroy. It's always something like that. Like I tend to forget, even though the game taught me that earlier.
Yeah.
And it's only worse when you put down the game for like even a week, but sometimes it's like months, and you're like, well, I should just restart because obviously I've forgotten something or I have to look it up.
That was the problem too. Was I'd put down the game for the holidays, and it was right. I was already like halfway or maybe 3/4 of the way through that dungeon, so I had no idea where I'd even been in the dungeon.
You literally lost your spot. And
Yeah.
your place. Like, what did I do last? Yeah. Did you play anything else, or was that just the big piece of it earlier in the year?
I played that the most, and then staying with the Switch, I played a little more F-Zero 99, doing the winter theme thing, and then I had seen on YouTube a video. I think it was from Matt McMuscles.
Mm-hmm.
He had talked about games that were critically underplayed in 2023. And I was looking through them or watching the video one after the other. I was like, oh, I remember that game. Oh, I played that one at least. And then came Gravity Circuit.
Yeah.
Which I looked at it and I was like, I'm pretty sure Don sent me this trailer way back when it was going to first release.
Even I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed I did. Yeah. But go on.
So then I immediately picked it up that same day and played it a little. And then the very next day, you sent me the trailer again, like, hey, I forgot about this. And I was like, hey, I did too, but guess what I got?
Yeah, I had seen the John Linneman's video on Digital Foundry because he always does his year-end recaps of his favorite games. And I think he and I have similar tastes because he always puts games I would put for my best of year. Like, even 2020, I think he put Streets Rage 4 as his #1 game, which would be pretty damn close for me, to be frank.
Yeah.
Right? It's right up there with like Doom Eternal and a few others. But he had mentioned Gravity Circuit again as well. And then, I saw the same Matt McMuscles video. I was like, God, like, I can't believe I forgot about this game. Like, there's so much that had come out in 2023 that, it's just, I forgot about it entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got it, and you just, 20 minutes ago, you just came over and you saw me playing it, and I've been like gushing about how much I love it. But I love this freaking game already. Like, it's like Mega Man, Shovel Knight, Ninja Gaiden, Shinobi, all wrapped up in like this.
Even a little Bionic Commando.
Even a little bit of Bionic Commando with the grapple hook.
Yeah.
Everything feels great about this game. I love it already. I've only beaten 2 bosses, and it's just, for me, I like when games have that checkpoint system where it's like it's really intended for you to die over and over so you can learn. Mm-hmm. Because eventually you'll be able to get through the level pretty quickly. Like there's certain sections where I can just dash right through now because I've played them like 10 times.
That does feel like classic Mega Man.
Yeah.
When you talk about it that way.
Yeah. So I've been playing that one too. I'm glad I did. It's one of those games that it's an easy recommend for anyone who grew up with those kinds of games. Like it's very much an homage to like the Super Nintendo, NES, Genesis, those era of shooters and platformers.
It's a weird combination, like you said, an homage to NES and Super NES. And I would say the same thing because like the pixel art is very NES, kind of basic, and the color palette. But the way you can move and the buttons that you need are very Super NES.
Yeah, it feels amazing. It's like it's got a lot. It ripped off a lot from Mega Man. Like the bosses, like they're even introduced the same way with like the like the space age screen in the background with like the bar in the middle with the gradient.
Oh yeah,
showing the boss
and then their name,
the level and their name. Like there's the wall kick. Like it's just freaking brilliant. I love it already. I have a feeling I'm gonna be doing a lot with this game because there's also a hard mode, some sort of challenge mode,
and then you just found that thing in the options where you can put the timer on there so you can practice speed running.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of meat in this game, and I'm pretty excited to dive more into it.
I bet I don't know about this one coming up, but I bet at GDQ pretty soon there will be runs of this.
It's bound to be. Yeah. It's like I said, it's not the same developer, but I mean it looks like it could have come from like the Messenger developer or Shovel Knight, like those type of games. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll see it at GDQ soon enough. So I've been playing that as well.
Did I talk about I can't remember if I talked about it on the last episode. Another throwback homage that I found on the Switch and have been playing was Prison City.
Oh yeah, I meant to buy. I still mean to buy that, and I just haven't yet. It's really cheap. It's only like $8 or $10.
Yeah, I got it really quick. I think it was on sale. It was on like one of the holiday specials, but then even not on sale, it's going to be pretty cheap.
It's pretty expensive,
and it's fun. It's another throwback to, I want to say, Vice Project Doom.
It's similar to that, and it's this, the developer who made this made the Angry Video Game Nerd games.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense because it also has a lot of wit in the writing.
Yeah,
and it definitely plays on the Metal Gear tropes because you go into, even when you're standing next to a person, you go into the little radio screen with two faces talking. But then it's kind of not fourth wall breaking, but self-aware of what you're doing and what the objectives are and how you're trying to achieve the objectives and things like that.
Yeah.
But I do like the movement and the battle system in that, where you're throwing the little boomerang disc and like you can charge it up, or if you throw it too much, if you rapid fire, it gets weaker over time and stuff like that.
It's kind of like Rygar with the discus kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah. Or Vice Project Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick that up pretty soon because that's been overlooked from as far as my book goes. The other game I was playing and I also finished because I loved it so much was RoboCop Rogue City on PS5.
I want to get that next too.
Yeah, so it's done by the same developers. I think their name is Nacon. They did the Terminator Resistance game, or Redemption, I think it's called, which I loved. It's like a B-level game. It's got some bugs. It's got some jank from like the early 2000s, but they really are excellent at nailing the license that they have.
Is that how old it is? The Terminator one?
No, the Terminator one came out in 2019, 2018.
Okay. Yeah,
it's one of the newer ones. Yeah, that one's like Fallout Light with Terminator. I loved it.
Yeah.
But RoboCop, it's their newest release, and this is dripping with the franchise, everything RoboCop, like the dystopic Detroit, the goofy,
violence.
Yeah, the violence, the satirical commercials on the TV and the radio. And it nailed everything. Like, it's got a lot of jank. Like, there's a lot of technical issues that it doesn't run the best. The enemies are it's just like an arcade game, so you're just like gunning down enemies in the most violent way possible.
Yeah.
And there's some bosses that are really dumb because it's just like, if you get the one spot, you can just kind of stand there and shoot them.
Nice.
But I can overlook all that because everything about it is so freaking fun and hilarious. Like, part of RoboCop's gimmick is you can issue tickets to people in the game. Just as like a side quest. If someone's parking in front of a fire hydrant, you can give them a ticket. Someone's like drunk in public, give them a ticket, or you can issue a warning.
Can you arrest them without killing? Can you just like?
No, you don't get to arrest them, unfortunately.
Man.
But it's funny because these people, like, they're not big offenders, and the guys you're after, because they're sort of now there's like another mastermind, right? Who's trying to make like another sort of these self-aware robots that are supposed to replace the police. That's the whole story of the game. Mm-hmm. So basically, aside from those, the small misdemeanor offenders, you're killing and murdering everyone else who gets in your way, like with biker gangs and whatnot.
This is your third offense.
Yeah, it's really good. It's I got the platinum trophy already because I just I went to like everything. Like, there's little collectibles for XP because you can level up his abilities, and similar to Terminator, like, it can have some half-baked concepts. Like, there's a way like his gun, his Auto 9 gun, like his signature handgun, it has different circuit boards, and you can put these little tiles and cubes in there to enhance their abilities, like if it's weapon damage or you get like a full auto, stuff like that. So like Terminator, like, if you find the right sort of configuration that works for you, it's not too difficult of a game. But it does get pretty hard later because they're throwing everything at you. Like, there's an Ed 209 fight with other enemies and other robots. Like, there's so much going on. But I don't care. Like, I overlooked a lot of his flaws because it was just so good with how they did the franchise. And Peter Weller's the voice of RoboCop, which is even more better, even great.
I love how he's come back and he's just sort of accepted. I am definitely RoboCop, and I will do any type
He's
of
into it.
Yeah, any type of game or appearance as it. Where does it fit in with the storyline of the movie?
It
like
does
a
kind
timeline?
of. Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's after 3, but it's definitely after 2 because they reference Kane, who was in RoboCop 2, and he's dead. Oh, he was like the guy, the nuke guy, and he became like that other giant Ed 209, like RoboCop 2. I forgot what they called that giant robot mech thing. But he's a boss. Not Kane, but that mech looking thing is a boss in this game as well. It's a really good game. It's like you have to overlook some of its flaws, but for me it was like a solid 8 out of 10. Because it was such dumb fun. Like, you're just going through and just mowing down enemies with whatever weaponry you have. Like, you're throwing people like, 100 feet away because you're RoboCop, right?
You
like,
showed us that one.
Yeah, I showed you where like I threw some guy right in the air and he just happened to land in like this fire escape thing. Like I was thinking a basket or something.
3 points.
Yeah. It's really fun. And I got through the platinum trophy. Like, I enjoyed it so much that I got the platinum trophy because it wasn't terribly difficult, and some of the stuff you seek out doesn't take that long. You're not trying to get like 67 collectibles or something, or 6,700, or and the game we'll talk about later today, 3,000.
No, yeah.
So before we get to our main event, I wanted to share a letter we got from Twitter. This is from our friend of the show, Evan Nixon Type 4. Evan is a friend of the show. He's always sending like these awesome Christmas cards. Like last year, I got a Ridge Racer Type 4 themed gift card, or excuse me, Christmas card. He's a huge Ridge Racer Type 4 fan, and just racing game in general. But he sent this little letter. He said, this was in reference to our Donkey Kong Country 3 episode from last week. He says it was his favorite so far. He said, it's such a great game. I think it's the first and maybe only game that I got 100% or more. I think I got 103% because my uncle had the guidebook in 2009 when I was about to graduate high school. However, I would have enjoyed the game more just playing it casually and not worrying about the bonus stuff. Because, man, it was infuriating at times getting 103% in DKC3. Sure as hell didn't get me laid or anything. I didn't like DK64, but I really want to hear what you guys thought. Nice little letter. So, Evan,
thank you.
Appreciate you writing in and giving us your thoughts about DKC3 and DK64. I think we'll have nicer things to say about DK64.
It's nice to hear that somebody else out there, thought that highly of DKC3.
Yeah, I agree. Like like I said, we were talking about in the other episode. It seems like DKC2 gets the most attention for the trilogy.
Yeah,
but I think DKC3 is it's underloved. Like it's just too overlooked for how good it is. So if you want to write us a letter, you can send us an email at legiongamingpod@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at Legion Gaming Pod, and also on Instagram if you want to see all the cool photos and reels and all the fun stuff we post on there at Legion Gaming Podcast on Instagram. So with that, we'll lead into our Banana Bonanza main events. Ducey, we are finally here, the fourth game in our miniseries that is easily the biggest of the games we've played so far, and one of the biggest on the Nintendo 64, and that's Donkey Kong 64, released November 22nd, 1999. Where were you 1999-ish?
I was recovering from my knee injury.
Oh, that was 99?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was earlier for some reason.
Just starting high school, and I think I was excited for this game because we had already played Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye, so Rare was huge on the N64.
They were on fire at this point.
And I couldn't wait for this because it had been already 3 years since Donkey Kong Country 3 and just the trilogy in general, and it was definitely time to move into the next generation of systems. And I don't think I rented this one. I think it was immediately on my Christmas wish list, and got it right away. I think it was maybe only I want to say 6th or 7th N64 game total.
I don't know where this was in my N64 library at this time. I do remember, because like you said, Rare had so many releases. We were huge fans of Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong, and especially GoldenEye. And I think even back then we might have been questioning, like, well, where's Donkey Kong? Like, where's the Donkey Kong Country? Because we knew what we wanted, and we were just surprised that they hadn't done anything with it yet.
Yeah.
So when this game was announced, I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't. I don't know where. I think because I was also looking for the Dreamcast 2 at this time. Like Dreamcast had come out in September '99.
Did you get that right away, or just
I got that for Christmas '99?
That's right.
Yeah, with NFL 2K. But with Donkey Kong 64, I think I didn't realize what it had come out, because I know exactly when and where I got this game, because it was at Kmart. My family and I went there for whatever visit, looking whatever. And I had like, 70, 80 bucks on me. I was like 14. And the one thing I went on my mind was I'm going to get a bunch of Pokemon booster packs because I was really into the card game. Oh, man. Right? Yeah. And my mom heard that. And she's like, what the F is wrong with you? Why do you want to buy $80 in cards? She's like, why don't you go buy a game or something? And then, I can't argue with that either. Like, I know. Because I think I need a few bucks more, and then they're like, well, we'll give you a couple bucks more if you want to go buy a game instead.
I was going to say, who would have thought your parents would have been steering you into buying a game instead of anything else?
Instead of just cards. They're like, what's wrong with you? Pokemon cards for $80, $70?
Yeah, but who knows what you could have found in those packs? They might have been worth a lot. I mean, I don't remember how much Donkey Kong 64 is worth now, but even cartridge games are
Oh
going
yeah, I
up
should
there.
look that
Luckily,
up. Yeah, I'd imagine. Well, it depends because the cards too. I wish I still had them. I don't know where they are at my parents' house if they even exist anymore. So it's also one of those things where maybe I got $70 in cards and it would be gone.
yeah,
Whereas I still have my Donkey Kong 64 card I got at Kmart. So I got it. So instead of the Pokemon cards, I got Donkey Kong 64, and I was instantly in love with it when I played it.
and you get a free expansion pack with that.
And you get a free expansion pack, which we'll dive into why that even is a thing.
Yeah.
And what the expansion pack was, because now it's like, we have hardware revisions and some add-ons, and this was like Nintendo's, I guess it would be like one of their first add-ons from the Nintendo 64, for any of their consoles really, like a hardware add-on that would enhance the system or the games.
Had they already announced and canceled the disk drive by this time?
Yes. So to get into development, that's a good way to get into development of this game. So this was originally intended for the 64 DD, the 64 disk drive, which
makes
was
sense.
which was this project that Nintendo, was kicking off. It was going to launch in the US and never did. But this was a hardware add-on for the Nintendo 64. And I think it used like these zip drive discs or something, but use a different format than the Nintendo 64 cards. They're like a different kind of storage cartridge.
They reminded me of those discs on the original Famicom.
Yeah, that's likely what they were inspired by.
Yeah.
So the DD was supposed to be like an enhanced piece of hardware you could add on. Like they had a Zelda Master Quest game on there. There was the one I actually really wanted but would never come here was F-Zero X, because it would enhance with a track editor that you could have on there. And I've seen it since then. Like it's clunky and god awful looking, but I don't care. Back then, I think I would have been just fine with it if it existed. So DK64 was originally intended to be developed and made for the 64 DD. And that started in 1997, right after the release of DKC3. So again, to reiterate, the SNES was on its way out in 97. So by 99, the SNES was gone. Like it was just dead. It's now Dreamcast, PS1, and 64 as far as the big consoles going on at the time. Yeah. So with Rare, they at this point, like you said, they were on fire. They had Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing. They had like Blast Corps, GoldenEye. Like those alone for your N64 library would have been enough to satiate whatever hunger you had for games.
Yep.
Those were huge.
All long games too.
Yeah. So a team of 24 developed this game over 3 years, and it was actually supposed to be a 2.5D platformer similar to Donkey Kong Country, which I thought was really cool. I thought
that would have been fine.
I would have been totally into that because I remember back then, like Nintendo, they're pretty strong on their edicts on what they want on their consoles, and it seemed like at the time they didn't want anything to do with 2D, right? Like they wanted everything 3D. They wanted to move the genre forward, or not the genre, but gaming forward with only going to 3D. So there's only like a handful, I would say, of 2D platformers. Like there's Mischief Makers, which I really like. I can't think of many others than Mischief Makers.
That was the first and only one that came to my mind.
Yeah, right. Like there's Paper Mario, which is an RPG. It's 2.5D ish. But they were very much against having 2D games on there. Like I think that's something where they look at it as something in the past. So it's interesting that they were, I guess, with the idea of having Donkey Kong 64 end up being a 2.5D game on their console.
Would that have been similar to Crash Bandicoot? Or
no, I would say if you're looking for something similar, it'd be like, have you ever played Klonoa on PS1, where it's like,
no, but I've seen screenshots.
Okay, yeah. So it's like it's still 2D as in left to right, but then you're kind of like scrolling around, going up, like it's a little bit more, it has more depth to it, right? Like it's not from point A to point B. It's like it's still point A to point B, but there's tricks and smokes and mirrors that make you think you're going in and out of the scenery or something.
Kind of like now Sonic Generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similar to that. Very similar to that. Yeah. So the whole reason they were doing the 2.5D version is because they didn't have a game engine yet to build a 3D game.
Oh, they hadn't done. Yeah, that's right. They hadn't done Banjo.
They hadn't done Banjo yet, right? So once they did Banjo, that's when it shifted to 3D, and it's obvious. It's very obvious when you play Donkey Kong 64. There's even sounds that sound similar to Banjo, like the world looks similar to Banjo, but it's Donkey Kongified, right?
When I was playing it, it is very much just a smash up of the Donkey Kong trilogy and Banjo.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. It's like if you combine those two, that's what Donkey Kong 64 is, and that's not a bad combo to have.
Yeah,
right. So with this, Rare had to build brand new models, which makes perfect sense because they can't use the models they use in the SGI workstations. So they use a new graphics tool called Game Gen, and And this time they're working with real-time 3D graphics, whereas with the SNES, it's like they would render them on the SGA workstations, convert them to sprites. It's a little bit different than what they're used to. And for them, they thought it's always kind of like a bittersweet thing, or there's always a catch-22, and it's like you can't have the details in the character models, when they're 3D, when they're modeled in real time, but you also have the option to make them more expressive, which I think is very apparent when you play with each of the characters. And you're like, they all have a very distinct personality and movement.
Yeah.
And then they also wanted to emphasize the thrilling moments of the game, because I think that's what is one of the highlights of the trilogy, right? It's all those big moments you remember, like whether it's the minecart levels or the underwater levels. So they wanted to ramp that up to 11 because they knew that was like their sort of hallmark. And I think they were successful for the most part. Like, I think the bosses are really awesome in this game. Like, all of them that I can recall and I played on this playthrough, they're really fun. Like, they're really inventive. Like, they're really kind of gimmicky and minigame-ish, but they're really fun.
Yeah, the armadillo one in the first stage, who comes back, is, I'd say, the number one boss I think of when I think of Donkey Kong 64.
Me too. That or the Jack-in-the-Box guy.
Yeah.
And then just for some of the staff that worked on this game, there was George Andreas. He was the director, and then Shigeru Miyamoto was the producer on this game. So he worked a little bit closer than he was on the previous games. And then Grant Kirkhope was the composer. He did pretty much everything from Killer Instinct 2 and Gold. He did the GoldenEye soundtrack, Blast Core, Banjo-Kazooie, Tooie, Perfect Dark, and Star Fox Adventures, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, excuse me. Like, pretty much any rare game he's had his hands on. And he made one point in this during development that he was working on like 3 games at once. He was working on like Diddy, Banjo-Tooie, and this all at once, which it's pretty incredible because they have like each of those soundtracks has a similar sound that you can kind of pick out. So it's fun that like he was working them concurrently. You could definitely pick out when it's like, is that from Diddy Kong Racing? Could that have been from Donkey Kong 64?
I feel like at least Diddy Kong Racing is more separate than Banjo and Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah,
like,
I would say so.
Banjo, when I'm playing Donkey Kong 64, it sounds like the original soundtrack. In fact, the first world is a remix of the
Jungle Japes.
Yeah, the jungle theme from Donkey Kong Country, but very Banjo-Kazooie-ified.
Yeah, and I like it a lot. Like the soundtrack and the sound effects in this game are really freaking fun.
Yeah.
I forgot just about all of it, but when I played it, like I had a lot more fun than I thought. And of course, there's going to be things we'll talk about that stand out as some pretty big negatives that I think, I don't want to say they don't kill the game. They just really, really hurt it. And I think they could have done better with it. Some other fun with this is that Tim Stamper, he's the Rare co-founder. He's one of the brothers. He was the one who suggested to emphasize collectibles to distinguish this game from Banjo-Kazooie. Now, I think in theory that's a fine idea, but they went a little overboard with the collectibles and everything we have in here. And that was really why they wanted to emphasize those, because they really want to make those differentiators stand out more than anything else. And George Andreas said, that Tim Stamper told him, make sure there's lots to collect. I'd always go back to him and say, here's some. And he'd go, no, more things. We had to make it as much of a collectathon as possible to help and try to differentiate it. So that's kind of that's an indicator of someone trying to push something too hard.
Yeah.
The idea is there, but it's just like they went a little overboard with some of the stuff in here.
I don't understand why they needed to, like, I kind of understand the bananas thing with 5 different characters. Okay, cool. Give them all their own things to collect, but don't then add more and more like weird little tokens and the little banana fairies and the everybody also counts all of the ammo that you can collect, which I don't normally I don't normally count that, but they even counted in Banjo-Kazooie. They're like, oh, you can get these feathers and these feathers and these grenades and eggs. And in this one, it's basically the same. You get like your ammo for your guns and your grenade oranges and the little crystal coconuts and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but that keeps coming back.
Yeah, that's just plentiful. Like, there's no shortage of ammo or anything of any of those things, like those replenishable things like health. Like, pretty much I don't think there's an enemy I didn't kill that didn't drop a watermelon for your health, right?
That's always happening.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like this game is massive, but the replenishable stuff, I don't think is a big issue. I think it's fine. Like it does clutter up the levels, like it just looks kind of overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I wouldn't include it with the collectibles, because the actual collectibles, which we'll break down, are far more ridiculous and egregious than these replenishable watermelons and oranges and all the other good stuff. Yeah. That's funny that people consider that. I didn't think that was a sticking point. George Andreas, he was saying, because they did like a retrospective, like way later, like I think 20 years later, and he was saying, he's like, in hindsight, I really wish that he had pushed back on Tim Stamper and maybe unified the color-coded bananas, which is it's a fair, it's a fair assessment and something that I think, hindsight's great, but it's like 24 years later, it is what it is at this point. You know? So the expansion pack, Ducey, we talked about this a little bit earlier. This thing was a 4 megabyte RAM expansion for the N64, and I remember getting this for Christmas because I asked for it with Rogue Squadron.
Oh yeah,
right. That was one of the big games that was sort of pushed for that thing. I think Turok 2 uses it and a bunch of others. And what this does is it adds RAM to your N64, but also cleans up some visuals. Some games have like a performance boost mode, which is, it's a pretty loose fitting term for Nintendo 64. Like it might go from 15 frames a second to 20, depending on the game. Like Hybrid Heaven has a performance mode where it adds like the widescreen bars, but it runs worse than the other mode. So the expansion pack on Donkey Kong 64, it did have a pretty good purpose. They actually allowed them to utilize things like dynamic lighting. So like when you're floating or when you're walking through like a tunnel and like you have the lantern swinging, like, like it cascades light on objects and like all the character you're playing as. But the other big deal with this is that Chris Marlowe, the programmer, he was saying that the expansion pack was required for this game because there was a game-breaking glitch that would crash the game if it had like the standard jumper pack, as they called it for the Nintendo 64, like not the expansion pack. So the only choice they had was to ship Donkey Kong 64 with the expansion pack, which is expensive if you're considering that they're adding extra hardware to the cartridge.
And I think this was an unavoidable glitch, wasn't it?
It was an unavoidable glitch. I think it's also one of those things where they probably ran out of time as well, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm sure if they had like whatever time they needed, they might have been able to figure it out. But
no, they found it at the 11th hour.
Exactly.
Which is crazy. Like it was like a month before I think it released.
It is, and I was trying to find the retail price of the expansion pack, and I'd seen things between 30 and 50, which sounds about right because I don't remember what it was. Like accessories for consoles weren't that expensive back then. I want to say relative to now.
I saw it at like $39.99 or maybe $49.
Yeah, right. I would say like $40 or $50 sounds right. So you're figuring, $40, $50 add-on. You're getting it free with Donkey Kong 64 because N64 games are already, typically $60 to $80.
Yeah, and
this was an add-on with it that you had to have no matter what. So that was a nice little bonus. I had 2 expansion packs because I think like I'd gotten Rogue Squadron. I think Rogue Squadron was the year before or something. I don't remember what it was. So I had 2 of them for no reason.
That's why I had gotten Rogue Squadron earlier, or at least rented it, and I held off on getting the expansion. I think maybe because I saw that it was going to be included with Donkey Kong 64. Or maybe I assumed it was going to eventually be included because the Rumble Pack came with Star Fox.
That's right.
I was like, oh yeah, this expansion pack thing, whatever it is eventually going to be included with some game somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny the thing really didn't have that much legs. Like like I said, I'd say like I don't know, 15 games supported at most. I can't recall, but most of them was like it didn't make that big a difference. Like if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of videos of people who broke those down, and like for the most part, there's not that big a difference.
It's weird though. When I was listening to that podcast, the Ultra 64, where they did every game. They actually ran into a couple that they never knew required the expansion pack. Like Perfect Dark, you couldn't do the story mode.
I remember that. I definitely remember that.
There were a couple others that were very similar. And when they fired it up, they were like, wait, why don't we have access to anything? And then they had to go dust off their expansion pack and go, oh, here's the game.
Yeah, Majora's Mask, I'm pretty certain requires it. Donkey Kong 64, and then Perfect Dark locks out like 80% of the game with that, because you can do some multiplayer, I remember, without the expansion pack,
and even that was janky.
It was limited. It was super limited at that point. So it's fun that I'd say like if you're gonna do hardware like that, that's the best way to make it worthwhile. But then it sucks because you're also locking people out who don't have it at the same time. That's the thing that sucks about the thing is like it doesn't do much, but then it's like you can't have it do too much because then you're locking people out of buying games. They're like, I'm not gonna buy this stupid thing. Yeah. So Shigeru Miyamoto, he was absolutely appalled, Ducey, when he saw Donkey Kong holding a realistic shotgun as a placeholder during development of this game, which I thought was a funny piece of trivia.
I think I would have too. Like if he came busting in like Doom Guy or Duke Nukem with a shotgun, that's
probably what it looked like.
Like, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah. So Shigeru Miyamoto immediately sketched out the coconut gun, and I don't know if he designed the rest of the weapons, but that's kind of what probably set up the theme for those weapons that you get is Shigeru Miyamoto being like, what is this shotgun? Of course, it was a placeholder, but he could have assumed that could have been the final thing they were trying to include, Another feature that was cut from the game for time and because it was just kind of a mess was the stop and swap. This feature, it's such a ridiculous idea that they wouldn't even contemplate this. But this feature, so the N64, when you have a cartridge in there and you take the cartridge out, it holds some of the memory in RAM, so it stays there static for a certain amount of time. So what Rare wanted to do is you would pull out the Donkey Kong 64 cart while it's on,
Yeah.
and then plug in Banjo-Kazooie, and you would unlock content in that game.
And vice versa. I think.
Vice versa, yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that Nintendo was like, no, I think that might damage consoles. And two, it may not work consistently because also later N64 consoles, it had less time to retain data in the memory.
Yeah, it went from like 30 seconds or less and down to like 1 second.
It was something,
it was like,
boom, something
boom.
really big. So they're like, yeah, we can't include that. So that makes sense. I'm glad they didn't, because the only other game I could think of that has a gimmick like that is X-Men for the Genesis way back, where when you beat Mojo, who's the final boss, it tells you to reset the game, but you have to do that soft reset on the Genesis. Where it's like you don't hard press it, you kind of have to like soft press it, and it reboots the game and it reboots the system, as it says, which you can't do on the Genesis 2 or 3, I think, because it doesn't have a soft reset like that.
They don't have the reset button or whatever?
No, it has a reset button, but it doesn't work the same way as the Genesis Model 1.
And I'm glad I never got to that point in that X-Men game, because I would have screwed that up every time.
I think I might have done it once, but of course I used level select to get to the last boss. It was really dumb. So I'm glad they got rid of the stop and swap.
They also tried, the original idea behind stop and swap was Banjo-Kazooie to Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah, because you could see, is it the ice key that you see that's sort of an element that would have been part of the stop and swap?
Yeah, I think that's in Banjo-Kazooie 1.
Yeah, 1.
And you see it just floating there, and that was going to unlock something in Banjo-Tooie, which I guess they had the idea for ahead of time, but that didn't come out until after Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, so it might have been the same thing where it's like they either couldn't get it to work or they're pressed for time. That seems like with Rare in this era, it seems like that's like their number one problem, and that's not a problem like it's their fault or something. It's just it's the gaming industry. They're just short on time. Like there's probably more and more they wanted to pack into the game, and it's just certain things that to be cut and like stop and swap we could do without. Like that's probably gonna do us more harm than good anyway.
you know me and machines. I would have fried my N64 somehow.
And your Daewoo TV would have finally exploded from the crackling.
Yeah.
Next thing we want to talk about, Ducey, the DK rap.
Yes.
The iconic opening song, for Donkey Kong 64. Notorious, I would say, and I would say not for bad reasons, but some people seem to have taken this too seriously and didn't like it at all.
I didn't realize that was even an option. When I first fired it up, I listened to the whole thing, and then on subsequent plays, I would always just sit there and listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, like granted, I was 14 when this game came out and I played it. Like I just thought it was a dumb, funny song. Like, I didn't take it seriously. I don't know why that was the case, but I guess at the time, and reviewers pointed out as well, like they just didn't like the song. They thought it was really dumb. And then Grant Kirkhope was like, I don't know. I thought it was fine. Like it was supposed to be a lighthearted joke. Like I really didn't think people would take it seriously, And Nintendo, it was fun. Nintendo ran a DK rap contest for their own versions. I forgot what they won. I think they won like a trip to their headquarters in Washington or something like that. Mm-hmm. So they did try to make a big deal of it, but I think this got a little bit more fun, this nostalgia as people got older, because Grant Kirkhope was really thankful about things. He's saying like, I thought people would get the joke and no one did, and he was also talking about how he said the first time someone wrote something negative about his music, like it kind of hit him pretty hard, but then he realized like over 20 years, like these people who grew up with that song now have fondness for it, and like their kids are singing it, and like he said he saw some video of like a whole group singing, and that just like melted his heart, because he thought it was like the most amazing thing, that this song that he wrote like 24 years ago is still memorable for people, and it's still like a big deal.
Well, my stance on reviewers of any genre, like movie reviewers, TV, game reviewers, don't know why we pay them. But it's so nice to see when like the general population brings it back and shows, like you said, like these creators who might have been hurt in the past, and then you see all this love for something, like whether it's an underrated gem of a movie or this random song where people are flash mobbing to it now.
Yeah,
like that's great. That's like, suck it, reviewers.
Yeah, and it's like you could tell it was just them BSing, because it was just the development team who sang and wrote it. Like it was George Andreas he wrote it. He's the director and he wrote it. It was scored by Kirkhope, and then Andreas and Chris Sutherland, who was a programmer, they were the ones who were singing and performing the rap.
Oh, that's funny. It sounded like one person.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I guess I don't know how it shifted, but they both were the vocals on there. And that's the thing. It's like Kirkhope was saying, is like, I'm glad that it's gotten the attention it's gotten, because for him, like, that's all made it worth it. Like, he saw, everyone grouped up around TV singing with it. He's like, that's all I need. Like, I don't care about anything else, any reviewers, any feedback. That's what makes the song for me. So I'm glad it's that fun, because I'm definitely going to splice it somewhere in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we haven't heard it already.
Yeah. And then, so this game was meant to be a huge Nintendo game. Like, Nintendo banked a ton on this game, dude. Like, I don't remember this back then. Like, do you remember like how big the marketing was, or like, was it in your face all the time? I don't remember being advertised as much.
I think it was, but I think we were used to it because we had already been through the trilogy, which every time that was about to release a new one, we got the same thing in our face, like ads constantly in the Nintendo Powers or in the magazines.
Yeah, that's true, and it's crazy because Nintendo was expecting to sell 2.5 million copies of this within a year, but then they shifted the projection to 4 million because they thought it was gonna be like a big thing, but it ended up selling. Let's see, it was 2.4 million by 2004. So this game had been out 5 years and didn't hit
their original
projection on there. And they're also trying to factor in the I know you remember this too, the special edition Nintendo 64, that jungle green see-through.
Oh yeah, those
like
were looking
transparent
cool.
colors were a huge thing in the 90s, and I still love them. And that console is super gorgeous looking. Like, it's just that lime green with see-through, and it has like the yellow banana cart for Donkey Kong. I don't know if this one has the banana controller though.
I always kind of wanted that one just to see if my games would stop freezing.
I remember. I remember that. You're like, I just need a new N64. Yeah. So despite not selling, as well as Nintendo had hoped, this is still the 7th best-selling N64 game. It sold 5.3 million copies. And again, like, there's some stiff competition on N64. So I rounded out the top 8. So number 1, no surprise, Super Mario 64. That had 11.9 million copies sold. Mm-hmm. Mario Kart 64 with 9.9 million. GoldenEye with 8 million. Ocarina of Time at number 4 with 7.6 million. Smash Brothers at 5.5 million at 5. And number 6 was Pokemon Stadium at 5.4 million. So that just barely outsold DK64, really.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a little bit surprising, but at the same time not, because Pokemon Stadium was the first time
it was a big deal. It was
Pokemon were in 3D and
yeah,
things.
3D at the height of Pokemania.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that came with the transfer pack, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember going to Blockbuster because you could take pictures of your Pokemon, also in Pokemon Snap, and you could use the transfer pack, I think the cart there, to print out your photos.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember taking that thing to the kiosk at Blockbuster, and like they had a little Charmander money card thing you would slip in. It's like, that was a really cool feature, I think. I know it's kind of forgotten now because it's a total gimmick, but it was really freaking cool to take pictures of your Pokemon in Stadium or whatever and then get them printed out. It was really nice. And then rounding out the top 8, Diddy Kong Racing with 4.8 million. So top 8 N64 games, you could really just get all 8 of those and be satisfied with what you have.
I think I had all of them except Stadium.
I think, did I have all these? Let me see. I think I do have all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it took me a while to get Super Mario 64, though, for some reason, because that was another one I would borrow all the time.
Yeah, I didn't get that first. That was definitely later. I had borrowed it from you a ton. I borrowed it from my neighbor friend across the street.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
So the reviews, Ducey. I think this game was pretty well reviewed, and as always, we'd like to give context for what was out this year. 99 was a pretty big year. The Dreamcast was out. September 99 was also Final Fantasy VIII. There was also Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. That was a big favorite of ours. And then Rainbow Six Rogue Spear. But more relative to Donkey Kong 64, there was a ton. There was a lot of games out this quarter. There was Their Life 2 on the Dreamcast. Jet Force Gemini by Rare. That's probably my least liked Rare game, I would say.
I always forget about that one.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just don't think it's that great because there's a lot of issues with that one. I'd still like to cover that at some point, even as part of some other episode or something,
Maybe, yeah.
There's also Pokemon Yellow, Grand Theft Auto 2 on PS1, Rayman 2 for Nintendo 64, Spyro 2 for PlayStation, Medal of Honor, Tomorrow Never Dies, Unreal Tournament was out on PC, Quake 3 was out on PC, a huge one, Gran Turismo 2, Shenmue for Dreamcast, and Twisted Metal 4. Tons of great games in 99. And that was like just at the tail end of 99.
Wasn't Twisted Metal 4 kind of regarded as like they were going downhill by then?
It was one of the, I wouldn't say it's an awful game. Like, I was definitely harder on it back then, but it's not as good as Twisted Metal 1 and definitely not 2. Like, it's not bad. It's just not good. Which is like the most dumb thing to say, but that's just what it is. Like, you'll play it, kind of enjoy it, and just you won't think too much of it.
You're
you
like,
know?
well, this is Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then just to sort of encapsulate 1999, the biggest games of the year were Soul Calibur on Dreamcast, which I would wholeheartedly agree was probably on many Game of the Year lists at the time.
Oh, yeah.
That was a huge game. There was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which is one of my favorite games of all time. That was 99.
Was that on every system at once?
No, that was PS1 initially, and then it came out with a Dreamcast and N64 port, like probably in 2000 or something, but it's definitely only PS1 initially. There was also Mario Brothers Deluxe on Game Boy Color. I know that was a great one. That was a big one we played. System Shock 2, Crash Team Racing, and Pokemon Gold Silver, and Siphon Filter, another well-loved PS1 game that we both enjoy.
That was definitely kind of underrated, but I love that game.
I love that game. I remember that commercial with the night vision sniper and everything.
It's so funny to see on YouTube, some people are playing it for the first time, and they're like, you get a taser?
Yeah.
You get to fry this
That
guy?
thing was such a big deal back then.
Yeah.
This was, post Metal Gear Solid, so it's like everyone were doing this like the spy thriller game kind of thing. And I remember that taser being a big deal in all the commercials, all the reviews. Like they're talking about how you just cook someone and light them on fire by tasing them for like, 10 seconds. Definitely one of my favorite video game weapons. That might be a fun episode to do too, is our favorite video game weapons.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like that one. So reviews, Deucey. GamePro, issue 136, January 2000. Donkey Kong 64, they gave the graphics a 4.5, a sound a 4, control 4, fun factor 5 out of 5. They thought the large environments were great, that you can get lost some and there's a lot of stuff you can do. They love the graphics and the variety of abilities for each Kong, which I think it's a big point of this game too, is like they did make every Kong feel different with their abilities and what they could do.
I was going to say, I'd up the control on that just a little bit, because all of them controlled differently, but they all felt intuitive, and it felt a little more responsive than Banjo.
Yeah, and the only real issue I have with the control, if we want to relate it, controls the camera.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's a big problem for any N64 game.
Yeah,
really.
that does get wonky.
Yeah, and I think that's what affects the controls, because otherwise the controls are pretty responsive and tight. Like I didn't really have any issue with them when I was playing it.
Except it has the automatically inverted, and I don't think you can change it in the options.
That's perfect for me.
Not
as the one person,
for me.
As the only person in our group who plays inverted controls for some reason. I felt right at home when I did that.
Do you still play inverted on Call of Duty?
Yes.
Holy moly.
Yeah, Call of Duty. Any first-person shooter is inverted. I cannot wrap my mind around up is up, down. I don't know why.
Well, and it's so weird because I can only do up is up, down is down for walking and running, and as soon as you get in a vehicle that flies, it inverts to what a flight control should be.
Yeah.
Down is up is down. I don't know why my brain can differentiate that, but not do it when you're running.
Yeah, no, it's bliss to my brain when I have inverted y-axis. It's perfect. I think that was Red Faction that caused that, if you want to call it a cause. I remember playing Red Faction. That's when I played inverted for whatever reason. It just stuck since then.
Well, back to like N64, Turok, I didn't realize it was not an option to uninvert, and that comes automatically inverted. And I played it perfectly fine back on the N64.
Me too. I didn't realize that
until years later, when all of a sudden my brain couldn't comprehend, and I ended up getting Turok physical, and I tried to play it, and I was like, wait, what?
You're like, this is unplayable.
So luckily, when they brought it out for Xbox, they added that option in the thing.
Yeah, thank you, Night Dive.
Yeah,
one of the best developers out right now for me. So getting back to GamePro, they really didn't have many issues with this game. They really just thought that the camera was bad and there wasn't a whole lot else. They liked that the expansion pack was included, which it's a nice bonus, but it's funny that they didn't paint that as like a necessity, but it's great. It's a great value on top of it.
Nobody knew back then.
Yeah. And just for context, they also reviewed Turok Rage Wars, which actually reviewed better than this. I was very surprised. They got a 5 for graphics, 5 for sound, 4 for control, and 5 for fun factor.
I never realized how many people loved Rage Wars, and because I thought Turok was kind of going down by then. But when that came out, everybody was like, yeah, this is a great multiplayer thing.
I wish I'd rented it back then, because I didn't get to play Turok 3 back then either, because we were moving on to other systems too. Like we had the Dreamcast, PS1, and all that. And I think I was kind of in the same boat where Turok 2 was really hard because it was kind of the same issue where it's like the levels are massive, easy to get lost in. And I was like, I don't know if I want Rage Wars or whatever. Plus, it's only multiplayer. I think that was the other thing. We weren't used to that. It's funny now, that's commonplace. Like a lot of games released now, just multiplayer.
Well, it's so much easier now online.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So that was kind of fun to read. I always remember this game being, or excuse me, Donkey Kong 64, I should say specifically, getting reviewed really well. But it was interesting that Rage Wars got better reviews than GamePro. EGM also reviewed Donkey Kong 64 in issue 127 from February 2000. These are all out of 10, so they gave an 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, and an 8. They loved the fun mini games and puzzles. They didn't like the long stretches of monotony. They thought the graphics were good, but not revolutionary, which I can agree. At this point, like it's very Banjo-Kazooie-ish.
I was going to say that it seemed like there were a lot of textures that were the same.
Yeah, and it's like it does look great, but it doesn't, it doesn't make the splash that like even the first DKC 1 or 2 or 3 did.
Here's how similar they are. The first level, Jungle Japes, I was looking around for the giant gorilla throwing oranges at you, and then I realized that's in the first level of Banjo.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, right. Even though they look exactly the same.
Your brain just broke at Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, so 24 years later, no less. Of all the things you remember in there. So yeah, they said the graphics were great, but not revolutionary. They thought the music and bosses were really awesome, and they said adventure fans would love it. But, and this is a fair point that we'll talk about and we'll drill in, they really did not like how repetitive it was, and you're essentially going through each level 5 times. Quote, Rare has created a monster, beautiful, vast, and often a raging pain in the ass. Donkey Kong 64 is a blissful experience half the time and a chore the rest. And then, Game of the Month, if you're interested for that month in EGM, Gran Turismo 2, all 10s.
Okay, yeah.
I'd say that's fair. Like I really love Donkey Kong 64, but Gran Turismo 2 was, it was a huge game at that time. But I was all into that.
I only really loved Gran Turismo 2 when I had the Game Shark code to get my licenses. Otherwise, I would have never gotten anywhere.
I agree. Like I would say between playing the 2 back then, I definitely put more time into DK64.
Yeah.
But I mean, like as far as objective, like I probably would give all 10s to Gran Turismo 2 as well. Right.
Yeah.
Like it was a pretty big PS1 game back then. And their favorites in Ducey, Nintendo Power, issue 127, December 1999. I still have this issue. It's the WrestleMania 2000 cover that has Mick Foley as Mankind on there. So I love that cover.
Nice.
And I say that because Donkey Kong 64 was the cover feature for November 1999, but they didn't review it. They had like a guide on it. So it was weird that they had a guide before the review in Nintendo Power.
Oh, no, I can see that because they would have had to have made the magazine the month before it was even out.
Yeah, it's just I would have thought, usually like I'm used to reading Nintendo Power and it's like they'll review the game plus the guide kind of thing, right? Like it's a package deal, so to speak. But they reviewed it in December 1999, and this is when they were giving like overall scores and they're also breaking down like, specific categories. And overall, they gave this an 8.6. They gave the graphics a 9.6, play control 8, game design 8.1, satisfaction 8.6, sound 9. They love the graphics and music. They praise the easy to learn controls and length of the game, but not like the problematic camera. The game is so they kind of were harder on those scores with game design. They gave it an 8.1.
That's kind of funny that Nintendo Power would talk about the problematic camera when all of their games had that.
I think it was just commonplace. Like if you're playing a 3D game on N64 at this time,
it's coming.
You're really just like, how bad could it be?
Yeah.
It's like, is this going to be like, Mario 64, which isn't that terrible in most instances? Or is it going to be like, I don't know, like Iggy's Wrecking Balls or something, or something where the camera just gets obscured no matter what angle you're at. So Nintendo Power, it's natural sim. They don't want to dig too much dirt on their own kind of games.
Yeah.
So they kind of danced around how monotonous the game gets. They kind of said that there's just, there's a lot of the variety of play is staggering, is what they said. That's kind of one of those words that means a lot, right? It's both a good thing and a bad thing. And I would say like this is more on the side of staggering in the sense that there's just too much, right?
Yeah.
And then also reviewed that month just for fun was WrestleMania 2000. That got an 8 out of 10. NBA Showtime, which is a game we discovered much later in life. That was actually really cool. It's like an NBA Jam successor almost. That got an 8.2. And Rainbow Six for N64 got a 7.9.
I rented that, and I really liked it. It wasn't, because I had already played the PC version and really loved that. But we got to go back into that one because they talk a lot about the co-op now these days. I know. Reminisce about the co-op of Rainbow Six for N64 of all games.
Did we play much co-op? I can't remember if I feel like we had to have. I don't remember if you rented and I didn't play it or what.
I think I rented it. I think you came over that weekend and we might have played it briefly one day.
Yeah, like it feels like we were played like just once and then just, whatever the case was, probably played Mario Kart or Mario Party or something.
Went back to GoldenEye or something.
Yeah, went back to GoldenEye, exactly. All right, Ducey. So do we want to get into collectibles now, or do you want to set the table with collectibles and dive into the game, or I guess that'll set as context, or do you want to dive into our impressions first? What do you think we should overbear our listeners with right now?
I think it's going to be a combination because my impression is also like diving into the collectathon. And when I played it just the other night to, refamiliarize myself with it, I kind of realized I didn't get too far into it. I beat the first level, both Donkey and Diddy, got everything with them. And I know that you have to go to later levels to unlock the rest of the Kongs and then go back. But I was fine with that because getting all 5 bananas for each Kong was pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a long thing. You didn't grab a banana, get kicked out of the level, and then go back into it like Mario. You were just there. And like at one point, I had 3 bananas, quote unquote, activated, and all I had to do was then go and pick them up. Like I had done the little mini challenge for each of those, and then I just had to go and collect them, which I was fine with. And the only thing I can see them talking about is that more and more stuff gets added on later, like these banana fairies that you have to take a picture of while they're flying around, and each Kong has to then go back into the level and get all of their colored bananas, plus their each 5 golden ones. Plus there's like the blueprints that you have to collect, which aren't too bad either. You just have to find the one muscle Kremling with their colored hair and kill them.
Yeah, they're called like Klapsa or something like that, or Calypsos, something like that.
Yeah, and so really I was playing it, and I almost wanted to go back into it again over this weekend and just play some more because it didn't feel time consuming. I think it was less than an hour. If I look at my save file, it was less than an hour just to do the 2 Kongs fully. And the way they bring up this now in retrospect, all these massive amounts of things to collect, they make it sound like it drags it out to hundreds of hours, like a Final Fantasy RPG, when it's not really. It's pretty condensed. In fact, later people have talked about Banjo-Tooie and how that is very convoluted, where it has a good amount to collect, but you also have to crisscross levels.
Yeah, so I barely played Banjo-Tooie, and I do remember the big critique of that game was it was too big, which was a similar criticism DK64 had, and I say justifiably as well. But I would agree with you. Like, it's one of those things where I played this for the first time in, again, like 20-something years. I was playing on the Steam Deck and also on my N64. So the Steam Deck is actually a great...
Oh, yeah.
It's a great way to play this, no matter how you slice it. But I still enjoyed it. Granted, I only played like a couple hours. I think I got pretty much as far as you. Like, I got through most of the second world, which is the Angry Aztec. And I got Donkey Kong, Diddy. I unlocked Tiny, and I also just unlocked Lanky Kong. So there's 5 Kongs in this game. There's Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Tiny Kong, who's kind of like Dixie. She's like, she's really small.
She flies.
There's Lanky, who's got these really long arms. He's like a goofy looking Kong. He's really great.
Him.
I like him a lot.
He's like one of my favorites.
Yeah, and there's Chunky, who's like this big ol' like massive wrestler looking gorilla who just is like, he's got this goofy pinwheel hat on, you know, and he's got like a goofy suit on, something like that, right?
He's definitely like, he would be the guy. What do you call it? Debo in Friday.
Yeah, he would be. But nice. He'd be a really nice Debo. Yeah. He's it's great. So I think the cast of characters is great here, but then there's 9 worlds in this game. And I think so I think you're right in the sense that it's not so that the game is too long in a sense, but I think that everything is just insanely tedious because what I found happening with me is like I still enjoy it. Like it's tedious, but it's also just like an annoyance, you know? It's like when I unlocked Lanky, you have to go under this water thing. Like you have to go dive under, go up and through this cave and pop out to free him. And immediately when you get him, his blue bananas start appearing. So that's so that's how they introduce collectibles. Is every time you unlock a Kong, their colored banana starts getting introduced in the overworld. And there's 9 of them, and they're all pretty massive. Like they're huge worlds within worlds, and then there's also like sort of dungeons within them. And there's mini games. Like it's a huge game, and I think it's great. The variety is really good. But I think that there's just too much. And also what really sucks is how you switch Kong. So it's like if you get to a section where, and it's almost like a Metroidvania in this sense, I would say, where you get to a certain point, you can't progress, and you have to switch to the Kong to use their ability.
Yeah.
Right? And then what also is annoying that you have Cranky's Lab, and he gives you new abilities in this game. So each person, each different Kong that's like a non-playable character gives you something new, right? So you have Cranky, who gives you new abilities. You get these potions that you pay him, these banana coins that you collect. There's Funky in here. He's now like an armory salesman.
Man, Funky has had so many occupations. He's like K. Rool in that.
He's his
aspect.
own entrepreneur.
Like he's like, I'm gonna go from surfer dude to just a
like
businessman,
travel salesman, or something.
a mechanic,
right? A mechanic,
and now he's heavy into guns.
He's a jack of all trades, the Kong of all trades. Yeah, so he sells you the guns, and then I think that what also is part of the tedium is that when you unlock new characters, you then have to go to each of those vendors. And Candy Kong also has instruments that you can unlock, because there's instrument pads where you place certain, each Kong's instrument to unlock an area or a cave or whatever. And what really sucks is every time you get a new Kong, you have to go back and get the basic ability, right? So you have to pay your 3 coins to Cranky, pay the 3 coins to Funky to get your gun. It's like, I wish there was just some way where, whatever Kong you are could buy the other coins. Like, let's say you have all your currencies there. And it says, okay, well, Tiny Kong, 3 coins for this. Use your 3 coins from Tiny Kong's pool, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really, it's like...
Or have the barrel switching more, more often, more frequently. Like, have the barrel switch in every side character's house or nearby the house.
And some are. Like, there's, in Angry Aztec, there is part where outside Cranky's lab, he has a swap barrel, but you're right, like I don't think that's the case in some of them.
In the first level, it's only right at the beginning when you first walk in.
And there are those nice travel pads though, like the fast travel pads that are numbered,
which I was surprised that I remembered as I was unlocking them. I remembered where they go, like not from back when I first played it, but in the current playthrough I was like, oh, I have to go back over to Funky. I think that's near pad number 2.
Yeah.
So I can go zip here, zip there, and I was there. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm remembering this.
Yeah, and I had the same experience. Like when I played through now, it's, a lot of it felt pretty intuitive. It's just, now I'm older, so I have more familiarity with how to understand the map and like where everything is. It could still get confusing.
Yeah.
But I would say the little fast roll pads help a lot, because at least that you're not traversing these massive worlds to get to Cranky's lab or whatever dumb thing you get to, or like another cave, because there's certain, dungeons, I'll call them, that you can unlock, but then you have to go in with each Kong.
Oh yeah,
right? Because you can open a dungeon with their weapons, which sucks because there's like a switch on each side of the building. So you have to go travel with each Kong to hit the switch of the same dungeon you opened like 4 times before.
Yeah,
to get them right. I think people are right in the sense of how much of a pain it is to collect stuff, but for me, it's not so much the collecting of it; it's just the tedium of having to do it literally 5 times over.
And I'm thinking back to when I first played it when I was younger, and we didn't have literally thousands of games. So I was completely okay with this game having that, where I got it for Christmas and I don't know when my next game is going to come. So I'm going to have a ton of time to go into this. And then like I can section off time where I get home from school and I play this and I'm going to do this level as Donkey. And then, it's dinner time, and I might not get back to it. The next day, I'll go back to it as Diddy and Tiny, and just boom, boom, boom. And so I think that's why I got as far as I did, and almost completed it fully. And I hate to say that in the past episodes, I thought I had 100%ed this. Sadly, I found I did not.
It's that misremembering, Ducey. I was shocked because I could have sworn you'd done this too.
I fired it up, and first of all, I was impressed that the battery save in this cart is still going strong.
It's really inconsistent because I always read things too online, and someone posted to us too, saying like, yeah, they were shocked that their Zelda 2 cart still had a battery save. Fine, and there's some that die out, but yeah, I was really impressed that it still somehow has all the save files.
I have a Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball game for Super Nintendo that its memory is on the fritz. Like it'll save for a little while and then all of a sudden I'll fire it up and it's erased. But then it'll save for a little while again and then it's erased. And I'm like, oh man. But this one is going strong. But I only got to 96%.
Yeah, I was surprised when you told me that. I was like, what?
Yeah. And then I looked at it and luckily you can go through, once you go into the file, you can go through, on the pause screen, everything that you have. And it's basically, I'm missing about 8 or 9 golden bananas, the main things you collect in this. And then I think I wrote it down. The colored bananas, I didn't get. I guess getting all 100 with each character counts towards the percentage. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I'm missing 328.
Okay.
total out of the 9 worlds or however many worlds there are.
Yeah, there's 9. And then you had, you said you clocked in, I think you told me it was like 29 hours, somewhere around there?
Yep, 29 and a half hours. And the weird thing is, so there's 201 golden bananas. There's that one bonus one instead of just 200 flat. I have that bonus banana, but then I'm missing 9 others. When I was looking at it, I was kind of getting brief flashbacks to thinking like, oh, it's like one banana for one Kong here, one banana for one Kong there. In one level, there's like 2 bananas missing. And I'm pretty sure it was just me going, this is too difficult right now. whatever weird little mini challenge they're having me do.
There were some really hard ones. I can't call out specific ones, but I do remember some being really hell.
I was probably like, screw this, I'm gonna move on, and maybe I'll get it back when I want to finish the game totally. Because like in World 1, the Jungle Japes one, I have everything. I have 100% of the bananas, the colored bananas, everything. But really for the rest of it, that's it. That's all I'm missing are just the colored bananas and the golden bananas. Got every single other little thing and finished the game. And I was fine with that. I was like 96%, that's close.
Yeah, and I had posted on our Instagram as well, Legion Gaming Podcast, by the way, just a reminder. I was happy to find that I didn't misremember mine and I actually got 101%. And it took me 34 hours exactly. I remember back then, like, I finished the game. My dad took me to Electronics Boutique at the time to get the guide because I was like, there's no map in this game either. We should specify. Yeah. There's no map. I think if you hit the pause screen, it'll tell you what collectibles you do have for, I don't know if it's for all the Kongs or maybe the Kong you're playing as currently, which at least there's that. So at least you're not like on a scavenger hunt trying to figure out what you missed. So there's that, but there's no map. There's no, you can't select a new world and see what percentage you're missing, stuff like that.
The other thing is, like, if I went back now, like I said, I'm missing maybe just one golden banana in one world.
Yeah.
And I know which Kong is missing it, luckily, but I don't know which of the 5 I'm missing.
Oh,
so I would have to go through the level
right. Yep.
One by one and see which ones I've already gotten.
So this would be a good time to introduce what it means to get 101% completion in this game and what the collectibles are. So the grand total for these collectibles, do you see? There's 3,831 collectible items in Donkey Kong 64. Of that, so just to finish the game, like just to get through, just probably on the most minimal percentage, you need 1,810. And to break this down, there's 3,500 bananas. So that's each world that has, like 100 bananas each, 500 per Kong. So there's actually seven worlds you can get in there.
Yeah.
201 golden bananas. That's 5 bananas per level per Kong. So that's, it's just too much. There's 201 plus there's 1 hidden banana from getting all the fairy photos. So like you said, Tiny Kong, you get a camera with her, and that's the scavenger hunt where you're going around taking photos of all the fairies. There's 40 blueprints, which, as you mentioned, Ducey, are from defeating they're called splats. Excuse me. They have different colored hair.
Yeah.
And you give those to Snide, and he's like K. Rool's former technician, and he increases the time for that blastomatic weapon base time. Like the base time's 10 minutes, so it just gives you more time to beat that level. I think it's like the final level or something like that.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close, yeah. And you can get a max of 50 minutes, I should say. 40 banana medals. These are earned by collecting at least 75 bananas in each level with each Kong. So that means if you're going for 101%, it doesn't matter. You're going to get those organically because you're collecting 100 bananas per Kong.
Which I have all the banana medals, but I just don't have 100 bananas.
Yeah, see?
I have at least 75.
And then there's 20 banana fairies, as we mentioned. Those are the ones that you're snapping photos around the entire game, not just one world.
Yeah.
There's 10 K. Rool crowns. Those are earned from like these little ballerinas you encounter in the game. They're like little mini games that you could, it's like timed event kind of stuff. 8 boss keys, 1 for each boss. There's 1 Nintendo coin, which you earn by beating the Donkey Kong arcade twice. This is the thing I did last. Because in Frantic Factory, you can unlock the original Donkey Kong arcade game, and you have to do 2 loops of that. The first loop, you get a banana, I believe, and the second one, you get a Nintendo coin, which is required for the 101%. And then the funny thing is, and I remember this when I read it, the Pauline gets swapped out for the Nintendo coin at the end instead of her sitting with Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there's 1 rare coin, which you get by earning 5,000 points in the Jetpack game, which is an old Rare game. It's a pretty fun game. They also released it on Xbox Live Arcade.
I like that remaster.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really great. Jetpack Remastered. It's also on Rare Replay right now, too. You should play it. So if you earn 5,000 points in that game, which you unlock by visiting Cranky after collecting 50 banana medals. And then the total does not include the 977 banana coins. Now, there's 976. Those are that's like the currency you can find in the game. That's just a fun stat include because it's a lot. And it was found out that there's 977 banana coins because a speedrunner broke the game and he found like a rainbow colored coin in Fungi Forest. So I guess technically it was 976 until then. As we said, tons of collectibles in this game, and back then in the year 2000, I guess I went through and got 3,800 collectibles over 34 hours in this freaking game.
I told you, like when you don't have much else to do, might as well go for it.
That's really what it was, and it was fun. And I think it's one of those things where I definitely had like a plan of action, right? Like the clean up, which I still have a habit of today. Like there's, I really like collectathons if they're done right. Like if they're just not monotonous and tedious. Like it really, Donkey Kong 64 biggest problem is like, it would have been nice if you could swap Kongs out faster, or if like they had some sensible system to get the other collectibles. Or
I think really all it needs is the fast Kong swap.
That would alleviate a lot.
Because even the thing you were talking about, where like one Kong can buy the stuff for the other ones, that gets a little bit easier.
It's a minor thing.
If you quick swap.
That exactly. Plus, you're not always at the store. It's really just like when you unlock a new ability, right? So that's like, for me, that's like a minor issue, but it still would be nice if you just buy everything you need right then and there.
Yeah.
But again, that's like you're there so infrequently compared to collecting everything else, where it's like you're in and out of these levels and you're constantly swapping Kongs.
And I don't get why they made it this way, unless it's some sort of memory thing. But if you think back to the original trilogy, Donkey and Diddy, or Diddy and Dixie, they were always on the screen together. And I know, I'm not saying have all 5 of them running around together with you, but have it to where like you can pause and hit.
Like you have a backup or alternate.
Yeah,
on
you
hand.
can pause and you can switch to the Kong you want, and then on the screen it's represented them as them tagging each
just
other.
coming out of the screen or something.
Yeah, like they did in the original trilogy. That would have been so much easier.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's rough because there's a lot they could have done, and I guarantee, like, they even mention as much. Like, there's a lot that they wish they had changed and made better. But it's also one of those things where maybe at the direction of Tim Stamper, they just they didn't have time to develop these things. Like they just were so front faced on getting as much collectibles as possible and making it as big of a game as possible. They just were like, everything else was like, well, we'll figure it out. This will do, kind of thing. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I think all the reviews I've seen, like they're the 8 to 9 range. I think that's perfectly fine for this game. I really enjoyed this game playing through it again. Like I didn't play through it.
Yeah,
I meant like picking it up for the first time. Like it really did feel at home, despite not playing it in over 2 decades.
And Banjo-Kazooie is available on multiple things, like the Rare Replay, and even the Switch Online N64 app. And yet I still want Donkey Kong 64 to show up and replay that one. Even though Banjo-Kazooie is probably quicker and easier to pick up and play, I really want to go back to this one and play it again.
I do. And I could put away all the annoyances because I would like to play through more of this. Because it is really fun. Like I enjoyed all the mini games. Like I was having a lot more fun than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like aside from the tedium, it's still an amazing game.
I got two of the things you get right away are the little mini game areas where, like Donkey, you go into the blast barrels.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And I remember
that's a great translation to 3D too for that.
I remember when I was little and all we had were the Super Nintendo ones. I always thought to myself, because Doom was a thing, so first person shooters were on my mind also. But I always wondered, like, what if you could go into first person in the barrel sections of Donkey Kong Country, where you're moving around and then you see the bees flying in front of you, or you see the vultures, and lo and behold, like 5 years later, they come in with Donkey Kong 64 and they have that exact mini game with Donkey. And then the other great part was Diddy got to do a minecart race where you're leaning over and you're collecting the coins and everything.
There's a couple of those, I think.
And I was like, this is a great translation too to 3D now.
Yeah, this on the whole, I would say like this is exactly what I would have wanted from a 3D Donkey Kong Country game. Like just end to end. It's exactly what I wanted. Like even the swinging of the ropes when you're on the vines, that feels really good, and that's really hard to nail in 3D.
I'm so glad that they made it very simple.
They simplified it. Like you just jump on the vine, and then you're not timing like the camera or anything. Like you're just hitting A when it's at the sort of peak where you can jump off, and you automatically catches the next vine.
And you only have basically 2 directions to go. Just don't touch the stick, and he will automatically be lined up with the next one.
It works really, really well. So there's stuff like that it's hard to pull off in 3D, especially back then because of the camera or like platforming issues in general. But it felt nice. It was really good.
One of the things I didn't like in Mario 64 back then was like you're climbing the pole and you're trying to jump to the next pole.
Yeah.
And then the camera would move and you're like, nope, I am not lined up.
Yeah. Like, oh, I got in the quicksand and there's a bomb there or something. Fantastic. Do we want to talk about any of the bosses, do you see? I think, because on this playthrough, I only played through the first boss, which was the armadillo, who was pretty fun. But I remember the other bosses, like there's Mad Jack. He's like the Jack in the Box guy. I remember him being pretty annoying because you had the platform with Tiny Kong. There was Dogodon, who's like this dragon-looking boss that Diddy fights, and Chunky. Armadillo, that was his name, the Armadillo.
Yeah.
Armadillo, fantastic.
Like I said, one of my favorite bosses of the entire Donkey Kong series.
Yeah, and there's... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't remember too many of the other ones, but I do remember the K. Rool fight was pretty awesome.
I was about to point that out. You're in a boxing ring. It was really awesome.
Yeah, you're in a boxing ring, and then you get to use... He has 5 phases because you get to use each Kong once.
It was really cool, yeah. The boss fights... So I was so critical of DKC3's boss fights, and I think I was fair on there.
One.
Yeah, and 1. Yeah. I would say like DKC 1 bosses are probably worse than 3, but 3 was just... I didn't like it that much. But this game, like, they went all out with it. Like, they took... what they did in Banjo, and I think some of the Banjo fights were kind of clunky back then. But all these are really damn fun. Like you can recognize the patterns. Like I didn't have the Armadillo one. Like I hadn't played it in a long time, and I remember so much of the fight.
Yeah,
it wasn't that difficult. I just remember him rolling around, and it looks impressive. Like he's huge, rolling on you on this battlefield. Like
yeah, I like you fighting in the rain and the thunderstorm and the lightning flashes and all of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So again, like everything in this game, I really loved it. It was really fun. Multiplayer. I guess we could touch a little bit on that.
I vaguely remember playing this back in the day with
we
some
played
of
a
our
little
friends.
bit. I remember we played a little bit, but we also didn't get into it that much because it just wasn't that great.
I mean, it was basically you're running around. I think you're running around shooting each other.
Yeah, there's a few modes, but it's like I'm certain we played Monkey Smash, which is like the equivalent of deathmatch. Because I remember, like, you know, we were running at each other with the coconut guns and the weapons. Like it's kind of weird because when they have their gun out, like. They move a little bit more stiffly, so it's kind of weird. It's not like as fluid as like when they're running on all fours, you know? So I remember doing that, and like you have the grenades you could toss, and there's like a whole bunch of modes. There's like one where you hoard coins. There's one where, you know, you get the highest score. There's like a time battle thing. But I remember this, like, it was almost like they didn't have to add it. Maybe they felt like they had to because Banjo didn't have multiplayer at all.
Oh, right? Yeah, and everything was about multiplayer back then on N64 because they're like, hey, we have 4 controller slots.
Yeah.
Throw it on there.
Yeah, so, you know, there was some fun to be had, but it's just, there's so many other better multiplayer games that, you know, it doesn't matter now. But I wish they just not done multiplayer and just focused on the game more, you know?
Oh, I'm sure we would play it a little bit and go, if we want to shoot something, let's just pop in GoldenEye.
That's probably exactly what happened. Yeah, because Perfect Dark played Mario Kart, Diddy. Like, there's a billion other games we probably were playing at that time.
Yeah.
And then also, fun little bit on there, Crusher from Donkey Kong Land and Donkey Kong Country is unlockable only in multiplayer.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
I would assume I had to have gotten him because it would probably been part of the 101% on there. All right, Deucey, should we get into speedruns? Is there anything else we want to cover on Donkey Kong 64?
Gosh, no. I do like some of the homages that they did, at least in the first level. I'm sure in the second one, the Aztec thing,
Angry Aztec,
it probably has a lot of winks and nods at the temple levels from Donkey Kong Country 1. But the first level in this, I mean,
I love that first level, Jungle Japes,
with the music. It's called Jungle Japes, which was the first level in Donkey Kong Country, and everything, the trees that you climb, they look like the originals. Just there's one point where you go into this like little mountain hill with Diddy, and there's conveyor belts, and the conveyor belts have lights, red lights to show that, hey, this is going against the grain, and green lights to show you can move with it. But they are the tracks from the level where you have to pick up the fuel cans. Yeah. In Donkey Kong Country. And I was just like, whoa, look at that nod. Even before you get to those, they have the big Kremlings from Donkey Kong 1 with the army hats on, that in this one you have to throw a grenade at them. But back then you either had to, like, you know, cartwheel through them or you needed donkey. Yeah, just bonk them. It was the first time they had been in a game since the original. And I really liked how they brought a lot of the original back. It's like 2 and 3 didn't really happen. This was a continuation of Donkey Kong Country 1.
Yeah, and that's why I love it so much, because it's a 3D version of DKC. Like it threw and through. Like there's a lot of other stuff they added, and it's a much bigger game.
Oh, another thing, it's finally settled. It was in one line when you first talked to Cranky about your banana hoard being gone, and he says, "Hey, what's my lazy son been up to?"
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, there it is."
I don't know why. Has anyone like disputed it as canon for some reason? I don't know why that was up in question for like the longest time.
I swear I read somewhere that he was a grandson for the longest time.
That's what I remember reading too back then.
But now he is the son. He is Donkey Kong Jr. grown up.
Yeah. All right, so I'll get into some speedruns here, a couple speedruns before we get into our final thoughts on. I think we'll dive into like what we thought of DK64, and then I guess we'll rehash like DKC trilogy, sort of as a whole, holistically of sorts.
This will be the end of an
culmination,
era.
Yeah, the end of this era at least. I'm sure we'll be doing some other gimmicks. I'm sure. So for this game, for speedrunning, there was any %, which is get through the game quickly as possible, glitches, whatever else. Z Nernicus, that's Z, and then there's a word Nernicus, Z Nernicus. 25 minutes, 49 seconds, which is mind-blowing to me because I think if you were to do a general run in this game, like if you were to, play through like those 1,800 collectibles, I'd say like looking 15, 20 hours minimum.
Yeah.
Right? They're doing it in 25 minutes, 49 seconds. And there's this person second, Zorulda, who's behind by 25 minutes and 50 seconds, 1 second behind, which is an eternity in speedrunning.
This has got to include a ton of like glitches into walls and
absolutely
things.
I'm sure there's skips and
breaking boundaries. I've seen speed runs of like Ocarina of Time and everything, and those things are crazy.
They're
because
amazing.
You just teleport into a wall that you're not supposed to, and then suddenly you're at like a third boss or something.
Yeah. As of this recording, GDQ is starting tomorrow on Sunday, and there's actually a runner in the first day who's they're doing one of the Donkey Kong Country games 101%, and they're also doing Donkey Kong 64. I don't remember what category it was.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to check that out, I'm sure. And the other category I recorded on here was 101% by Zorulda as well. Again, 5 hours, 27 minutes, 34 seconds. I don't know. I want to check out that run, even just to scrub through, because 101%, that's, again, like 3,800 collectibles in 5 hours, which is still a long time, but it's not 34 like I took with a guide.
There must be a wild optimized route where you just go, and then like I said about activating certain bananas but then not collecting them, and then you switch to a different Kong and start picking up things.
They've got like every step planned, so I'm curious. Like I always say I'm shocked when I see speedruns, but for me, like knowing how much it takes to get 101% in this game, when I see 5 hours, and again mine was 34, yours was 29, we'll call it between the two, like we'll call it 35 hours really. 35 to 40 for a normal person. 5 hours. They're doing the most optimal route you can imagine to get 5 hours for 101%.
There must be a ton of movement skips too. In fact, on that conveyor belt area, I was trying to jump into the thing, and I hadn't switched the conveyor belt. I had actually done it by fighting against it, but then the thing you could jump into, which I think starts the minecart ride, it was blocked off. Like you have to for sure switch the conveyor belts, which I was like, oh, that's rude. So as I was jumping off of the thing, I just like warped through the fence. I didn't have to open the gate again to get out. I was like, oh, I did a weird little skip here. That's just one of probably 1,000 speedrun glitches.
I shaved off another minute from my time of 34 hours. Now it's 33 hours and 59 minutes. Yeah. All right, Deucey. So I guess we'll get into our final thoughts here. What do you think of Donkey Kong 64, the trilogy, and I guess really just like how it fits into your gaming world of sorts?
Well, like I said, this was a great extension of the original trilogy. It was just what you wanted from a 3D Donkey Kong. Then luckily they had tested the waters with Banjo-Kazooie, which is another great Rare game, and it fit perfectly. The engine and everything fit perfectly with Donkey Kong. And as far as the trilogy as a whole and this one, they're definitely going to be games that I'll just keep going back to over and over again.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's nice that Banjo-Kazooie existed so DK could exist.
Yeah.
But it's also fun because, Banjo was obviously very heavily influenced by Donkey Kong Country because, it was Rare. So they took what they learned with DKC and made Banjo, and in turn with Banjo's engine made Donkey Kong 64. So it all fits what Rare's done. And I'm right there with you. Like, I really do love this game. I completely agree about the bloat and like the insane collectibles. Like it's just too much, but it's still enjoyable. It's just you may not see it all the way through now because there's just so many games that do it better. But I'd say like in terms of charm and nostalgia, like this is definitely high on my list for N64. I don't know if I'd put like top 5 or anything, but it's definitely one of my favorite ones. It's really fantastic. I have nothing but great memories with Donkey Kong 64.
I have to check. I made a brief like top 10 N64 list just in case we ever did that. And I can't remember if I put this on here or if it was like a really close, like 11th or 12th. But
I would say it's easily top 10 for me. Yeah.
But yeah, now that I've revisited it, I would definitely put it at least in the top 10.
I would say so. And that fits with, with how many it's sold. It's 7. So I'd say like that's a perfect spot where realistically, like it's in terms of my N64 lexicon, I'd say DK64 is pretty high up there. And then same with the trilogy. Like I'll always go back to those at any time. And I still love platforming games. I have a lot of favorite genres, which, it sounds ridiculous, but it's like I love a lot of games, obviously, like anyone else. But I love platformers. I do love collectathons to a certain extent now. Like there's some games that I really love enjoying collecting stuff. Ukulele, which I guess we could talk a little bit about really before we wrap this up, that's like the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64. And there's also the one I will point out is Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. That one is the most Donkey Kong Country-like of Rare's spiritual successor games, I would say.
Yeah, I love that series because the first one was this huge homage to Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Like right down to the two characters being connected to each other, and it's a fully 3D world where you get the pages to go into a level, and the levels are separated by a main hub world. And then Impossible Lair came out, and I was like, oh, well, hey, I'm going to play more of this. I did not realize that it was now a huge homage to the original 2D games.
It's really great. So, these games had an influence and an impact on the gaming industry. Like Donkey Kong Country still talked about DK64, me less so for some of the issues it had. And I don't even call them issues. It's just some of the feedback people have, which is fair, but not something I would say like ruins the game or anything.
You said a lot of games now have done it better, but I would go back to Donkey Kong 64 solely because of the theme.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I love all the characters.
Yeah, that's what makes it even better when I revisit it was all the familiarity with it. Like I remember all the characters because I spent so much time playing it.
Yeah.
That everything, I don't remember the game beat for beat, but there's a lot of, high points I do remember. It's like, oh God, I remember doing this back then. It's so good. It's so fun, So I think that'll do it. That'll do it for our Donkey Kong 64 episode. We'll probably do a mini series at some point. Again, I'm not sure what we'll cover next, but I think this was a really fun one. It was pretty heavy with 4 games, but we made it through our first mini series.
We can do Metroid next, or all of the Mega Man.
There's a lot. I want to do stuff like Devil May Cry. I mean, there's a ton of franchises we could cover. It's just a matter of time and everything else, adulting and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to share your thoughts on Donkey Kong 64 or anything Donkey Kong related or just anything in general, send us an email at legiongamingpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at legiongamingpod and also on Instagram at legiongamingpodcasts. Deucey, any final words for our friends before we let them go off into their banana bonanzas?
Just press start to continue listening to that DK rap.
It'll be right here. Thanks, everyone.